Look at my Star Trek toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. And today, Mike, it's an emergency episode. We're not unboxing anything. We're not reviewing anything. We have big news in the Star Trek toy world that many people immediately reached out to me to give me the heads up, although I'd already seen it on StarTrek.com.
Even me. I even texted Keith.
You even texted me about this. Very exciting stuff. Now, we waited a couple of days to see if I could get a little bit more information. I have reached out to the important folks, have not heard back yet, but I do have some information that was not on the articles that came out first. So what is this? What is the thing that happened? Well, Nacelle Company, Nacelle Toys, has acquired the rights to Star Trek action figures. Really, really exciting. After the demise of the Playmates line, there are companies out there doing some figures, but Nacelle is a very interesting new company to talk about. Mike, do you know how it all started?
I don't. I do know that they are affiliated with a show that I really, really like, which is The Toys That Made Us. And also they do a bunch of other like docuseries type work. And for them, in fact, I just quoted that show, The Toys That Made Us, a few weeks ago when I was talking about the Tales from the Center Chair, the tone of that Trek series on one of the streaming sites. Regardless, I really enjoy that series. I really enjoy the way they handle stuff and their sort of reverence for the properties and the IP. So this, at very initial first blush, seems like a cool match.
Yeah, well, I mean, to say something about the series, like the Toys That Made Us episode about the Playmates figures is kind of what rekindled my interest in it.
Oh, neat.
And I was like,
show.
And thus this show. None of this would have happened had it not been for that show in a lot of different ways. And so lots of people sent me questions and are you going to cover this? Are you going to talk about it? Well, here we are talking about it. But one of the people who went above and beyond was our good friend Brian Giles, who messaged us on Instagram at Star Trek Toys, is our Instagram handle. And actually pointed me in the direction of the ToyBoyz Podcast, which had an interview with none other than Brian Volk-Weiss, who runs the company. And so from that, I've pulled out a lot of information that they talk about on that show. It's a great interview. The ToyBoyz Podcast, we will link below, because nothing I'm saying basically everything I'm saying is either speculation or from that interview. But there's a lot of great information there. But definitely go check out, go subscribe to the original source there. But thanks to Brian for sending that information. So out of that interview, we actually have a lot to discuss. I was not expecting there to be much to talk about this early in the process, because but let me first back up and say what the objective of this toy line is. So in all of the articles that came out first, the goal of the Nacelle Company's line, interestingly, it's the opposite of what Playmates just did. The goal of the line is to fill in the holes of the characters that don't already have a million figures. So a lot of the people with the Playmates line, a lot of people were frustrated. We get another Picard, we get another Kirk, we get all this, they're great figures, we love them, but we have like 50 of them. And so one of the main goals that Brian said was that they want to, he said, I looked at my figures on my wall, and I looked for who I didn't have, and that's who they want to focus on. Very, very excited. So they got the license from Playmates, from Paramount. So a little background on the company. The toy end of Nacelle is only 2 or 3 years old, really only 2 years into making toys. And so after the Toys That Made Us series, he got approached by a lot of agents of toy makers and said, hey, you should start making toys. We have all, he knows all the people at the toy company, so he had all these connections. And so he started out doing smaller IP and building out a line. You can go check out the Nacelle Company website, which we'll also link in the show notes here. And so he started building this out, and never in a million years thought he would get the Star Trek license, especially 2 or 3 years into the company. But he was super excited because he is a legit lifelong fan of Star Trek toys and a fan, lifelong fan of toys and of Trek. And so for him, to get access to this IP was super, super exciting. And it seems like he individually has a great deal of control over how this is going. And he said he picked the first line. Oh yeah, so here's some of the toys that they make. They look like really good toys. So a couple of things on the basics of the questions. They're going to be 6 to 7 inches, closer to 7, although it might go a little above that, might go a little below that, because he wants to keep the scales of the figures in keeping with each other. So he chose 6 to 7 inches, mainly because he wants to have more detail in the figures, and that is where figures are today, looking forward, as opposed to looking backwards and going, doing Playmate scale. Now, he also is perfectly aware that there might be some Playmates fans who wish that he were working in the Playmate scale. I'm one of them, but I also understand. He said that the current bar is the Black Series or the classified figures, and that's who he wants to be compared with, not necessarily the old Playmates, because he wants to do more details. And and this is aimed at adult collectors, right? So this is not going to be mass market for kids. This is adults, collectors. It's us that these are marketed for. He said that he picked the line, right? What should be the first wave of figures from his gut. Basically, he as a fan, what are the figures that I as a fan want? And that's what he said. I look at my shelf and I see who's not there. And one of the things that he said I thought was very interesting is he said, I love Picard. There will be a there will be a Picard quote on his tombstone, but he doesn't need another Picard. He has 50 already. And I think that is sort of talking about his philosophy. And it's going to be very, very interesting. And so we don't know a great deal about what that first wave will be. We do have a sense of how large the wave is going to be, because he gave hints about several of the figures in the wave, which I was not expecting to get. Now, of course, he has to be very careful with information, because Paramount controls the information. And in fact, he wasn't even sure he's allowed to say what he said. But I think that also might explain, for those of us who were so frustrated with Playmates' lack of information, that the information is in a lot of ways controlled by Paramount. And so they might not have had the ability to tell us as much as they would have liked to tell us, because Paramount was in control of what gets out, what the figures are, when they're coming out, blah, 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 blah. So you had a bigger mouth to feed there, I think. So, Mike, do you have any questions so far?
No, I'm excited.
It's yeah. Oh, hold on, not yet, not yet.
No, okay.
I guess yet. All right, fine. So here's what he said about the timing. That apparently next year for sure, possibly even this year, because the prototypes are done. And that he already has 3 of the prototypes in hand. The rest of them will be, apparently he should have them by the time this episode drops, which is crazy. So they're much further along in the process than I think anyone is thinking. So they have the prototypes, and so a couple of things about what they have the rights to. So this is going to be defining what's in the line. So he does not have the rights to any of contemporary Trek. So this is going to be, my understanding from what he said, it wasn't 100% clear, but everything from original series through the end of Enterprise. So it's basically original Trek and 90s Trek movies inclusive through Nemesis, but not past. So no Abrams verse, no contemporary Trek, is my understanding of what he has the rights to. I wasn't super clear whether he mentioned Voyager. I'm assuming he has Next Gen and Deep Space Nine, but he only specifically said original series, Voyager, Enterprise in the movies.
Pretty confident in a press release I read, I saw all of those listed.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine is where my eyes went, obviously.
Well, of course. Well, and the Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Enterprise era are the ones we have the most missing figures. Those are the biggest holes in the line, at least from us Playmates focused people. So next year, maybe this year. So here is, and the last thing I'll say before I give the hints, right, is that, and again, this is also feels like a bit of a response to the Playmates debacle, right, is he specifically said, we are going to listen to the fans and their feedback, and we will make changes based on that feedback. So there's an email, and we'll link it below as well, to email them directly and give them your ideas of what you want the figures to be.
Oh, Keith, if only we had a over 100 slideshow of Keith's wish list to present.
We sure do. Yeah, I mean, I want him to come on the show. I can tell him in person. But yeah, no, we absolutely have that. So we'll give the email. People can give their suggestions, that kind of stuff. And he actually gave specific information, an example of, I forget what line it was. It was a previous line that they had. They released the prototypes and they didn't have, the bend over articulation. And he didn't think the fans would want that. The fans said, we need it. And it's like, okay. And they added that articulation between prototype and production of that line. So in so many different ways, this feels like actively addressing all of the complaints about the Playmates line, right? Give us more information, give us figures we don't already have 50 of, listen to the fans, communicate with us better, and our suggestions. Because, in our Playmates wake, right, what were the primary suggestions? Give us figures we don't already have, and get us more of them faster, and, get out of retail, right? Get out of the idea you're going to sell 250,000 of these things and sell, 1,000 of them to the adult fans who want them. And it seems like this is 100% the philosophy that they're moving forward with here. I have a bunch of other questions, but these are the answers that I have because I haven't had a chance to ask the question yet.
Well, he's going on podcasts, so maybe we can get Brian to join us.
I'm hoping we'll try to do that. I feel like we're in the world. We're his audience for sure. Yeah. So, all right, folks, are we ready? So, Mike, you're going to have to help me here.
Okay.
Because we are going to get topics and we need to speculate. So, he gave us the provenance of 6 of the first wave. This is not all of wave 1, but these are the 6 that he mentioned. And he just said the sources. So the first figure, there will be a figure from Generations, from Star Trek Generations. So it's, again, he's thinking, what don't we have? What from Generations? It's interesting. What do we, because the Generations line, they did a lot of, Playmates did a lot of, with the wrong uniforms, but we got Saran, we got all the original series folks who showed up. I'm curious who that might be. And interesting to go to Generations. Was not one of the more popular movies. Maybe it's, one of our heroes wearing the Deep Space Nine era uniforms? Unclear.
You don't want to go
Also-
so obscure, right? To jumpstart your line. You don't want to go too deep.
Obscure. Well, and also he's judging this based on more than just playmates,
Mhm.
right? Because we're very playmates focused here. So, I think there being a playmates figure might not be disqualifying for his list. But just that we don't have 30 or 40 over a whole bunch of different lines, unclear.
I mean, it goes it goes in the face of what he just said, which was we want to fill in the gaps. But I mean, it almost like, how do you not start with a Picard up there, with some of the major captains? I mean, that's probably maybe not from Generations though.
It would seem. I mean, he specifically said, "I don't want another Picard or another Kirk." However, I mean, everyone is staring at this picture, so I suppose we ought to address it, right? This is one of the prototypes that he is holding in his hand.
It could be a data, data maybe?
Well, it's red. It's commanded.
Red.
So
Yeah.
it's clearly a next generation era command red. So it's what's happening? What is the cat doing? So it seems like, based on what we can see, it's a Picard, possibly a Riker. It could be a Q.
It's hard
I
not to.
suppose.
I'm looking at my 2022 Playmates figures, I guess the last of the Mohicans, and
Yeah.
it's hard not to see those feet and think it looks very similar with the little V pattern from the bottom of the pants. And
Well, and you can see a little bit about, actually, you know what? You know how they got on SVU, they take like a child's drawing and say enhance, and then you can see a lot more.
Keith,
It
did you
doesn't
enhance?
work that way in real life,
Oh.
but I can help just a hair to enhance just a little bit in Photoshop there. But you can see some of the articulation. Obviously, we're going to have foot articulation. It looks like it has the sort of G.I. Joe crotch will allow for more contemporary leg articulation. I don't know what's going on with the knees or elbows, but it feels like those are probably going to articulate. Are we going to get multiple sets of hands? I don't know. But if it's not a Picard, a Riker, or a Q in the red command, like, how obscure are you going to get it? Is that like a Jellicoe?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who else that would be in that uniform. So unclear for a guy who says we're never going to have a Picard. It does look like a Picard, but you know what? We don't know. So continuing on the teases that he gave. So we know we have one figure from Generations, one from Wrath of Khan. Now we have a lot of Khan figures. We have a lot of our main hero cast. Is it a David Marcus? Is it a what's her name, Marcus? Is it a I don't know. I don't know who it would be from Wrath of Khan. There's also a figure coming from Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4. Who knows? Could be any number of different characters. At this point, we're literally just guessing. Enhanced further.
I put it into Topaz. It didn't do much.
Not much. There's not a lot of pixels there on a zoom off a YouTube video. But I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So a lot of movie stuff. So Generations, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4 also have a Voyager figure coming. Super curious what that could be. There's lots of different options there. A lot of Voyager figures that did not get mass produced. Certainly curious what that's going to be. I mean, logic would say it's a 7 of 9, but again, that's sort of the obvious thing. I mean, the obvious on all these: Generations, Picard, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3. I don't know, one of our heroes, or maybe maybe a Klingon. Voyager, 7 of 9, right? Star Trek 4. I'd love to get the whale. Can we get a whale? Who knows? There's another figure from Next Gen. Who knows what that could be? Is that what this is? Is this the Next Gen figure? unclear. Not entirely sure, but this is not all of Wave 1. So we know it's at least 6, at least 7, actually. Possibly more than that, but we don't really know any more than that. So I want to know, folks out there, let's get the rumors going. Let's get some speculation. What do you think these figures are? With the idea that we're filling holes on the shelf of figures we don't already have from Generations, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, Voyager, Next Gen, and who knows? I don't know. I know what figures I want, and we're gonna put the link to those videos also down here below.
That's a fun series. That was early days.
Early days, yeah. No, I think we did the top 100. Is that what we did?
It ended up being, yes. I think it was.
I can't believe I did a top 100 figures we don't.
And that was so early in my journey with Trek.
You had no idea what any of them were.
It was fun though.
Oh, Mike, that's still what you're doing. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
that's true.
Okay. Anyway, so
new toys though. Listen, I bought a house with shelves. I'm ready. Give me new toys.
That's right. I feel a little naked because I'm rewiring all of my shelves this week, so I have not put everything back. But it's an emergency. We had to do this episode. Hey, Brian Volk-Weiss, are you watching this? You want to come on the show? You can reach us at lookatmystartrektoys
Does anybody know Brian?
gmail.com.
You out there might know him. Let him know. We'd love to chat.
Somebody must. I've reached out via Instagram, but we haven't got anything back yet. So we'll keep trying to get that.
We're good pals with the ToyBoyz. We'll see if we can get his contact.
Are we?
No.
We should be.
Yeah, why not?
But somebody is. Somebody's going to be able to make this happen.
I think it's cool though. You know, jokes aside, so seldom in this life these days, Keith, do you get what you asked for, right? So yeah, we had a huge, I think 3-part wake for the line for Playmates. But you know, for every season, Keith, turn. We're turning that page. We have a birth announcement. It's so amazing. I can't wait to see the cute baby pictures and to welcome this new we're getting the. Let's see. Let's check off the list of things we asked for. New line of Trek toys.
Yep.
Run by a fan, soliciting feedback from fans, and filling in the holes of things we don't have already. I mean, what else? That's the Keith Varney bingo card.
No, it really is. And I got to say this, it's hard to tell much from a podcast appearance, but Brian seems like one of us. He's like a normal dude who cares deeply about this stuff, and he seems like he has the right intentions, the right goals, and I'm really excited. I hope that it is successful.
Yeah, we got to put our money where our mouth is. Mouth where our money. Blah blah blah. We obviously, for them to succeed and to continue to keep doing it, they're going to need to sell these. So we're going to have to get our hands on some. But what I think excites me more than anything, because look, great ideas are just that, ideas. The fact that they already have prototypes, which means they have the wheels of production turning, is exciting because it means it's something that's happening in the sooner than later category. Yeah.
No, I mean, it seems like the baby got announced when it was already 3 or 4 years old. So I think we're pretty far down the road. Very exciting, folks. And if you would like to support our little show, our little nonsense, you can support us at patreon.com/K&M. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. If you want to send us stuff and join our Patron Hall of Fame, you can also email us at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com to send us some fun stuff. We will open it on the air and review it. Gonna be super, super fun. We will be back here next week with another unboxing and reviewing of something fun. Not sure what it's gonna be, but I got a huge stack of stuff over there, and then hopefully debut the newly rewired shelves. That's what everyone's really looking for.
We'll have an emergency episode with our friend Brian, our new friend Brian.
With any luck. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, this has been Look at My Star Trek Toys!